Now, just recently, a law was passed in New Zealand that actually allows people to put people away for about 2 years and or be fined $30,000 or $50,000. Now, this law sounds good on paper, but when you actually put it into perspective and actually put it in real life scenarios, what ends up happening is you get something that's very abusive, something that can literally take away people's freedoms, and it causes major issues in society. Now, the first thing I need to mention is, if you so much as even show a sign of trash talking somebody or like talking negatively about somebody that you hate, for instance, you happen to dislike a certain government official's, way of doing things, and you talk negatively about them, and you say that, it's the most ass backwards thing I've ever seen. If he gets offended by that, he can literally ask you to literally stop, or just quite honestly put you away, or have you fined. It is the most abusive law I have ever heard of. It's one of those laws that you create in hopes to fix an issue, but what ends up happening is it ends up destroying more than it creates. It ends up propagating something that is even worse than what they're actually trying to fix, and it essentially becomes, a censorship tool. If someone doesn't like what's being said to them, they can easily just shut you up by using this law. It's essentially a legal way to to blackmail someone. You can literally, if you get caught freaking making fun of somebody, or just trolling on Call of Duty, you could literally be put away for about 2 years, which isn't much, but still 2 years for voicing an opinion. And I'm sure a lot of people are probably saying, oh well, they're just focusing on the hardcore trolls that say, oh, go kill yourself and whatever. But the thing is, though, even with those people, it can still backfire and go after the people who are actually, I don't know, legitimately concerned about certain things, and they want to voice their opinions about something. And if somebody gets offended by the thing that they're actually talking about, by their opinion, by someone else's opinion, what's going to end up happening is they're going to end up seeing themselves fined and or going to prison, which sounds a little extreme, and it's because it is, but it also is, like I said, very, very restrictive. What essentially is happening here is it's kind of like the small signs of a dictatorship showing up. If the dictator doesn't like what you're saying, then he shuts you up and he puts you in prison. This is essentially what this law is. And it can be abused. It can be abused. And I mentioned earlier in this video, I hope you were listening, that yes, this can indeed be literally turned against what its original intention is. It can literally be made into a tool to essentially blackmail people, to literally make people shut up. Oh well, if you have an opinion on a certain government official, you go ahead and talk about them over, let's just say YouTube or something like that, and that government official figures out where you live or figures out your name or whatnot. They can literally tell you to stop talking bad about them, or they can just quite honestly put you away or fine you, which in all honesty is just wrong. Okay, it is wrong. It will literally restrict freedoms. And what's interesting is the fact that this law, when it was actually passed, there was a higher ratio of people who were for it than there were people against it. I don't remember the exact number of the amount of people who were for it, but I do remember that there were only 5 people who were opposed to it. And all 5 of these people essentially had good reasons to be opposed to it, because it essentially would restrict people's freedoms. And it probably will, because it can be abused, it can be used for negative reasons. For all we know, maybe trolls will now start to use this against people and blackmail people. I am not surprised if that actually starts happening. See you later.